Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to be explaining what metaethics is all about. Metaethics is the study of the nature of morality itself. To understand this topic, it will help to compare and contrast it with other areas of moral philosophy. There is, first, applied ethics, which addresses specific or practical moral issues, such as abortion, animal rights, and euthanasia. In this area, philosophers debate whether these practices are morally permissible or morally wrong. Secondly, there is normative ethics, which is where philosophers put forth moral theories or explanations of what the nature of right action is. On some moral theories, for instance, a philosopher will claim that the nature of right action is grounded in its consequences, or as the treating of individuals as ends in themselves. Finally, there is metaethics, which is concerned with the nature of morality itself. In metaethics, philosophers ask questions such as, what are we doing when we make moral judgments? Are we just expressing our emotions, or are we saying something that could be true or false? In the words of philosopher Don Loeb, what are we doing when we talk moral talk? An analogy put forth by Andrew Fisher in his book Metaethics, an Introduction, helps to clarify the themes of these areas of moral philosophy. Consider the practice of applied ethics, normative ethics, and metaethics like a game of football. The applied ethicists can be thought of as the players, since they are concerned with directly addressing the moral permissibility or moral wrongness of specific moral issues. For instance, the applied ethicist wants to know if abortion is morally wrong, and, if so, why. The normative ethicist can be thought of like the referee, because he is the one that establishes the rules or principles that govern the applied ethicist. He will point out, for example, that if abortion is wrong, what moral principle or rule explains this moral judgment? Finally, there are the metaethicists, who can be thought of as the commentators or pundits of the game. They are concerned with what is going on when we make moral judgments. Like the football commentators, they talk about the nature of the game itself, rather than interpret the rules like the referee or participate like the players. In the area of metaethics, philosophers are concerned with three issues. One is, first, the issue of moral language. For instance, if I claim that eating meat is wrong, what am I doing when I make this moral judgment? Am I merely expressing my emotions, or am I saying something that could be true or false? Secondly, there is the issue of moral psychology. For example, are moral judgments necessarily motivating, or can someone make a genuine moral judgment and yet fail to act on it? Finally, there is the issue of moral ontology, or what exists in the world. Do moral properties exist, and, if they do, what would they be like? If the act of causing gratuitous pain has the property of wrongness, for instance, is this property natural or non-natural? The cognitivism versus non-cognitivism debate is focused on the issue of moral language. More specifically, cognitivists and non-cognitivists differ on what moral judgments are. Cognitivism is the view according to which moral judgments are beliefs or statements that describe a feature of the world. Furthermore, they believe that moral judgments can be true or false. After all, beliefs are the sorts of things that can be true or false. For example, consider the statement, "My dog has white hair." In this situation, I claim, first, that there is something in the world, namely my dog, and, secondly, that my dog has a certain property, namely white hair. For the cognitivists, moral judgments are like "my dog has white hair," since it's an expression of a belief or a statement that describes a feature of the world. Non-cognitivism is the view that moral judgments are not beliefs or statements that describe a feature of the world, but rather are expressions of emotions or commands made by an agent. Furthermore, they believe that moral judgments cannot be true or false. After all, expressions of emotions or commands are not the sorts of things that can be true or false. Under the non-cognitivist view of language, for instance, the claim that slavery is wrong is equivalent to saying, "Boo slavery," or "Do not enslave others." Consider the claim, "I hate football," or "Pass the salt." For the non-cognitivists, moral judgments are like the claim, "I hate football," or "Pass the salt," since these examples are not beliefs or statements that describe a feature of the world, but rather are expressions of emotions or commands made by an agent. In this video, I have explained what metaethics is and what the relevant issues in this subject are.